Hello, fantasy managers, and welcome to another edition of the First Pitch Podcast. My name is Trevor Huth. I appreciate you joining me. And there was lots of baseball today, lots to talk about, and some very unfortunate news to get to. So let's dive right in, see what's happening in the world of baseball. The biggest news by far, in my mind, Logan Gilbert exited his start after 3 innings. He had three perfect innings, had three strikeouts. There was no, from what I could tell, no suggestion of anything. His velocity was pretty consistent, but he had forearm tightness. So an MRI will be conducted in the near future, most likely tomorrow, with more information coming in the future. But Logan Gilbert leaving his start with forearm tightness, not great. You don't like to hear that at all. Also, going or getting injured in yesterday's games, Luke Keyshaw, a guy that I have been hyping up beyond belief. He got hit by a Kyle Hendricks pitch and has a displaced forearm fracture. So he will be out for some time. He had a very bright start to his major league career. Hopefully, he will not be out too long. Related to that, the Twins have acquired Cody Clemens from the Philadelphia Phillies. Clemens was just DFA'd to make room for a returning Weston Wilson, and this gives them another second base option. I mean, Mickey Gasper is the guy, especially with Willie Castro out as well. So it seems like they may have to roll with Cody Clemens and Mickey Gasper, unless there are some other options there. Gonna have to get creative in terms of filling in second base in Minnesota. Couple games got canceled today. Among them were the Guardians games. They are going to promote Doug Nikhazy to start one of their doubleheader games tomorrow. It will be his MLB debut. Nikhazy is a pitchability type lefty. Fastballs in the low 90s. I mean, hovers right around 90. And he has some good off-speed stuff. He's been able to generate whiffs consistently with that off-speed stuff. So, I mean, you know, not a great fastball, at least in terms of velocity, but good whiff inducing or weak contact inducing at the least. Off speed stuff. Same way you talk about Joey Cantillo, or at least it seems like it. So Doug Nikhazy going to be starting one of the games tomorrow. The Rockies select Owen Miller, who has been up and down over the last few years. That adds some infield depth to the Rockies lineup. Tovar is still out. Adil Amador is not playing as well as they probably hoped. Um, so we'll have to see. I don't know how much necessarily it's he'll get playing time, but he is up with the Rockies roster at the moment. Guardians prospect Juan Brito out 8 to 12 weeks with thumb surgery. He was a guy who I thought was going to be a mainstay in their infield, or at least get a really good chance to play in their infield at some point, especially after the trading of Andres Jimenez. But he's going to be out for a while with a broken thumb. Some more minor news. Diego Cartaya was outrighted by the Twins. He was on their 40-man. He's no longer on their 40-man roster. He was once a big catching prospect and is no longer on their 40-man roster. And he was catching prospect with the Dodgers. Speaking of Twins catchers, they did announce they're going to change how they split their catchers. Usually it's been a split between Ryan Jeffers and Vasquez. It's going to favor Ryan Jeffers now, according to recent news updates. In San Diego, the Padres have decided to option Kyle Hart in favor of Ryan Bergert, who is going to join that San Diego rotation. Uh, he had a 5.16 ERA in a very offensive friendly environment in El Paso. So we'll see what happens there. Good, decent strikeout walk numbers in the minors. So Kyle Hart, again, heading down to AAA. More pitching injury news. Javier Assad shut down with an oblique strain. This could be interesting now. There's no word about who could take that spot. I know Jordan Wicks has been getting some starts, and they haven't been going very well. The Cubs very well could opt to go with Cade Horton here, their top pitching prospect, who is starting off really well, has a great, like a 1.36 ERA in AAA to start the year. Could see Cade Horton, got a good slider, I don't know. He's a good pitcher, so it'd be interesting to see their decision there. Obviously, they want to get him up at some point, so maybe Cade Horton time coming soon. I mentioned Cole Reagan's leaving his start. A very mild left groin strain is what it was called. So Cole Reagan's hopefully not going to be put on the shelf for any time or just minimal amounts of time. Again, described as a very mild left groin strain. And finally, Yuri Perez, a guy who we've been missing for a while now, is set to start his rehab. He's set to throw an inning in Jupiter today, 1 inning. So it's a start. It's not anything crazy, but it is a start. Moving on to some highlights from yesterday's games, Jordan Beck. Oh my gosh, two more home runs. That makes 6 hits over his last 3 games, and 5 of them are home runs. He also added a stolen base in yesterday's game. So he has 5 home runs over the last 3 games. He is certainly announcing his presence, saying, "Hey, I am back and I am Beck." I probably could have worded that one better. Either way, let's move on. Mike Trout hits his 9th home run. That ties him for the MLB lead. He had a 2-hit game, bringing his average up to a whopping 185, and he struck out 2 more times. I mentioned how weird his season is going. Lots of power, not a lot of hits, lots of strikeouts so far for Mike Trout. Twins had a couple of great performances. Byron Buxton hit a triple and a home run. Trevor Larnach hit a double and a home run as they put up quite a bit of runs. Dylan Cruz started off with major struggles. He had 3 hits, including a triple in yesterday's game. That brings his average up to 214, which doesn't sound great. But if you remember how slow he started, looks like he's coming into form. He's hitting 273 over his last 15 games. So hopefully that is signaling that Dylan Cruz has figured something out or he's seeing the ball better. But he's definitely improving on what was a very poor start and one that had me questioning if he was even going to be able to continue on in the Nationals lineup for much longer. Well, he finally caught fire. He's finally started to hit lately. Speaking of good hitting outfielders, Pete Crow Armstrong. He's no longer on his streak of extra base hits that he recently had, but he is still doing well, hitting 295 overall. He stole 2 bases in yesterday's game, bringing him up to 12 steals. So we got a guy who's hitting extra base hits like it's his job. I mean, it is, but hitting extra base hits very frequently and stealing bases a lot. Oh my gosh, Pete Crow Armstrong seems like he has arrived. You love to see it. I mean, you absolutely love to see it. Speaking of young guys, Agustin Ramirez with the Marlins, the catching prospect that they just called up, had a bomb and a double in yesterday's game. That means in his first 10 at bats, he's hitting a cool 700. That's right, 700. He has 7 hits in his first 10 at bats in the big leagues. This was his first homer, but he has 4 doubles. So of his 7 hits, 4 of them are doubles. One of them's a home run. So he's an extra base machine to start off his major league career. Brooks Baldwin with the White Sox, 2 hits, a double, and a home run. He had a good game. Speaking of White Sox hitters, Miguel Vargas with 2 hits, and he's been not great all year. He was kind of a popular bounce back candidate, a post hype type candidate, and he really hasn't lived up to it. However, just keep an eye on trends over his last 7 games, hitting 261. So maybe coming into his own a little bit more. You never quite know. He hasn't really put anything together. Now, his underlying numbers, he has been putting up in the small sample of this season, the best EV numbers of his career in the majors. And there have been some positive signs there. So maybe things are starting to work themselves out, and he's no longer just going to be, he may take a step forward to become a better player and the player that maybe the White Sox thought they were going to get in that trade with the Dodgers. Jacob Wilson hit his 3rd home run of the year. He's more known for making a ton of contact. Obviously, he can do that. He doesn't walk. He doesn't strike out a whole lot, although he did strike out in the game yesterday. But he hit another home run, his 3rd. He was not supposed to have that much power. He already has 3 home runs, which, I mean, is a third of what the major league leaders have. Not massive numbers we're talking about here, but he's putting up a lot more power than I think was expected. And that is very exciting for a guy who can make contact at the rate that Wilson can. Wyatt Langford, we know he's good since coming back from injury. He's hitting 350. He went 3 for 4 in yesterday's game with a pair of doubles. So you know the Rangers like having Wyatt Langford back in their lineup. Looking at some starting pitching, Matthew Liberatore, 6 innings, 1 earned run, and 4 strikeouts in his outing. Pablo Lopez back on the mound after being on the IL. He returns 5 innings, 5 hits, couple earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Seth Lugo threw 8 innings for the Royals, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. Kodai Senga, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, uh, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He has a 1.26 ERA through his first 28.2 innings this year. So Senga's been putting up some good numbers. How about Colin Ray? I sold him in my keeper dynasty leagues because I didn't think he was going to be able to repeat success of last year. Well, early on in his Cubs career, 5 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts in yesterday's game. So he's been living up to his great season. He's been following it up well, and the Cubs need that. They are down now Javier Assad. They're obviously down Justin Steele. They need Ray to be able to be a consistent presence in their rotation, and it seems like so far he's answering that call in a big way. Shane Baz was able to bounce back with 7 shutout innings and striking out 6. You love to see that after he had kind of a clunker, and he's been pretty good for most of the year. Michael King threw 5 innings, gave up a run, but it was not earned, and struck out 9 in his outing. Luis Severino, 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. But I'll tell you what, I saw on Pitching Ninja a slider from Luis Severino, and it was one of those frisbees. It looked like one of those that needed a turn signal. It was nasty. If you have not seen it, go look it up because it is absolutely bonkers looking, and you just love to see it. Nathan Eovaldi struck out 7 over 6 shutout innings. His fantastic season continues. And Paul Skeens. We know Paul Skeens is good, right? He faced the Dodgers lineup, which is also really good. And he went 6.1 innings. He did give up 5 hits, but 0 earned runs, 0 walks, and 9 strikeouts. So not even a Dodgers lineup can slow down Paul Skeens. It seems like this Paul Skeens dude might be pretty good at this whole pitching thing. Talk about some relievers now. David Bednar got the save for the Pirates, threw an inning, walked 1, struck out 2. But since his little stint going down to AAA, he's come back and they're putting him back in save situations. It was a 3-run game, but he did get the save opportunity and he did convert the save. And the other reliever I want to talk about, Devin Williams, his struggles just continue. They put him in, and he did not record an out and gave up 3 earned runs. So Devin Williams not being the lockdown closer we know him to be, as is the case with a few other reliable closers over the past few years. Such a volatile position, but you hope that he can bounce back at some point here and be the guy that we all thought he was going to be entering the year. Appreciate you joining me. This is the First Pitch podcast on Pitcher List, and we are going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to look at some pitching matchups coming up today, and then we're going to wrap it up. But I appreciate you joining me once again. This is the First Pitch podcast on Pitcher List. And welcome back to the First Pitch podcast on Pitcher List. My name is Trevor Huth. I appreciate you joining me, and we have talked a little bit about some news, some highlights. The news was, in my opinion, pretty sad today with some of the guys that are going down. You hate to see the injuries at all, but there are some big names who we need to wait to hear some news on in the upcoming days. Some fun performances, though, some bounce back performances happening across baseball. And now let's take a look at some pitching matchups coming up today. The first one is Hunter Green. He has been fantastic for most of this season. He's going to be pitching in Coors Field, though. I mean, he's Hunter Green, so you're still starting him, but just be aware he's pitching in Coors. That's just something I feel like you have to note. Casey Mize is going to be pitching in Game 1 of the doubleheader that the Tigers have against the Orioles. Mize has been great, and hopefully can continue on doing that. The one thing is he hasn't really been getting the whiffs that fantasy managers like and fantasy managers covet. So keep an eye on that. The second starter for the Tigers has yet to be announced. So that's something, watch the news because when they announce that, it could be someone that you might want to stream against that Orioles lineup. I mean, if it's Cater Montero, I'm picking up Cater Montero if he's available and putting him in my lineup if that's possible. So keep an eye on who might be getting that extra doubleheader game for the Tigers. Speaking of double headers, I mentioned it earlier, but the Guardians are going to have Doug Nikhazy throw one end of their doubleheader as they had their game canceled yesterday as well, postponed yesterday as well. And you know, I kind of talked about Doug Nikhazy's stuff. It's very secondary heavy in terms of how he's going to find success. His fastball averages right around 90, if not exactly 90 miles an hour. So it's not going to overpower anybody, but that has not stopped him from getting consistent whiffs throughout his time in the minor leagues. He has had some walks issues in the past, although over the past last couple seasons, seems like those have improved. So with that, I'm a little interested to see how Doug Nikhazy does because I kind of mentioned Cantillo. Cantillo's fastball is he's another lefty just like Nikhazy. Cantillo's fastball is not overpowering, but he's able to put up some numbers. So we'll see if Nikhazy can do the same thing with the same organization. Makes it a little bit more interesting for me. And finally, my matchup of the day. This was a tough one. Just looking through everything that's going to be happening today, and I kind of landed on one I didn't think I was going to land on, but it's the Brewers versus the Cardinals. Quinn Priester is looking to keep his great start to his Brewers career going, and honestly continue to audition for, hey, you cannot take me out of this rotation. I don't care who's getting healthy. You have to keep me in this rotation. I don't know if that's a possible thing with some of the names coming back, but Quinn Priester has been very good. He's going to look to continue to be very good against the Cardinals lineup, and he is going to be facing off against Sonny Gray. So I think, it's not as flashy as some of the matchup of the days that I've used in the past, but Quinn Priester versus Sonny Gray, I think all around could be a really interesting matchup and a really fun one to watch if you are a fan of pitching. So that is my matchup of the day: Cardinals versus Brewers. Priester versus Gray. There you have it. I appreciate you joining me here on the First Pitch podcast. I will be back with you tomorrow to talk a little bit more baseball. Of course, the First Pitch podcast is part of Pitcher List.